Yo, what's going on? Hope you are well, wherever you are, whatever the time. And in today's video, I'm going to be going over 3 ways that you can cut costs in bodybuilding so you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to look like a superhero. Of course, if you want to take this passion, this hobby a little bit more seriously, you're going to have to invest a little bit more money. Food is not free and gym memberships are not free. However, there might actually be things that you're currently doing where if you just cut back on these things or just eliminated them completely, you could actually save yourself a lot of money. So let's start off at number 1, which is probably the most controversial one, but it is stay natural. Staying natural, in my opinion, is the number 1 way to reduce the cost of bodybuilding. As soon as you get into the world of enhanced bodybuilding, not only are you going to have to pay for the anabolics, but if you're actually interested in your heart not exploding in your chest, you're going to need to invest in health supplementation. You're going to have to invest in regular blood work, and you're going to have to invest in ancillary drugs to help manage the side effects of these steroids. Regular blood work is usually going to cost you between 180 to 250 pounds a go. Obviously, depending on what kind of markers that you want to test, you're going to want to test a lot of markers to do with your blood, to do with your liver, to do with your kidneys, to do with your cholesterol. There's a lot of things that you're going to need to be testing to make sure that you're actually doing this in a way that is as safe as possible. And typically as well, you're going to be wanting to do blood work about every 8 to 12 weeks. As you can see, if you're spending about 200 pounds every time, that's going to add up real quick. As I mentioned earlier as well, you're going to have to look into health supplementation, such as supplementation to help with your heart, your liver, and your kidneys, and investment into these supplements, especially if you want them to be high quality, patented ingredients. You're going to have to fork out a little bit more money. Over time as well, when you're in the world of enhanced bodybuilding, you're clearly going to grow, and with that comes an escalation of the amount of drugs that you're going to be using. So initially, when you've had to just buy your bottle of testosterone, now you're throwing in other compounds, now you're increasing the amount of these drugs that you're using, and it's only going to get more and more expensive. When you're natural, honestly, you really only have to focus on the amount of food that you're consuming. You need to focus on your gym membership, and that's kind of it. I mean, there are a handful of supplements that you obviously can invest in when you're natural, but it's not going to break the bank really. Personally, this is actually one of the reasons why I won't go enhanced. It's not the only reason. There are other reasons, such as my health and just other aspects of my life that I feel are a little bit more important, but definitely the financial burden of going enhanced. So if you suddenly see a video of me saying that I've gone enhanced, just know that your boy is balling. That brings me on to point number 2, which is stop buying these artificial foods that already exist. So things like cream of rice and things like rice pudding from these supplement companies. These products as well, they're not cheap, and especially when you think about their counterparts. So for example, with cream of rice, its counterpart is just ground rice. The price of cream of rice typically for a bag, like a pouch of cream of rice, I believe they come in maybe 2 kilo pouches, it's going to cost you about 20 pounds. You can quite literally buy ground rice, the same amount, for £2.50. And it's something that I do. I buy a product called ground rice from Tropical Sun or from Layla's, I think it is. I'll actually leave these products in the description. So if you want to invest in these, as opposed to buying from these supplement companies that are essentially selling you the same thing, but for 10 times the price. I've seen another one, a company bring out something called, it's basically rice pudding. You can quite literally buy rice pudding for pennies. When it comes to your supplement stack as well, I only really think that there's one supplement that you really need, and that's going to be creatine. It's heavily backed by research. We know that it works. We know that it improves your performance. There's current research showing that it helps you with your cognition, with your memory as well, which is amazing, especially in those higher doses as well. Incredibly cheap. One of the cheaper supplements on the market, and yet it is also one of the most effective. Everything else you get in terms of your health with supplements when you're natural is more so dependent on blood work. So if you've done blood work or you feel a certain type of way, or potentially if you're struggling to get in a balanced diet, so for example, you're struggling to take in enough fish to get in enough omegas, you can invest in omega-3s, for example, or a fish oil, but your supplement stack doesn't need to be as elaborate as somebody who is enhanced. You also don't need a pre-workout, you don't need EAAs, and you don't need a digestion aid. These things are not going to be the difference between you building muscle and not building muscle. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. Pre-workouts are fun, but they're not essential. You can quite literally just have a black coffee if you want to be stimulated by caffeine. And the final thing that you can do to make bodybuilding just that little bit cheaper, bulk buy your food, and also don't be afraid to go a little bit cheaper with your food as well. Getting something like a Costco membership to be able to buy huge bags of rice, potatoes, oats. I also mentioned there as well that don't be afraid to go a little bit cheaper with food. So it's quite common now for a lot of bodybuilders to buy eggs like Burford Browns and other organic eggs that are going to cost a bomb just for 6 eggs. You can get 30 caged hen eggs for incredibly cheap. And yes, of course, the quality isn't the best, but you're not going to die by having that food. And it's going to save you a lot more money. You don't need to buy a sockeye organic salmon. You can just buy these foods in almost their lowest form. Like, you know, when you go to a shop and they have like their essentials range or their bargain range, that's absolutely fine. Yes, it's not the best, but if you're in a position where you are trying to be a little bit more frugal with your money, it makes sense to go with those options. Notice how I also mentioned pretty basic foods. So rice, potatoes, mince, cheap cuts of pork, got chicken breast, you've got bananas, you've got frozen meat and veg, you've got frozen fruit, honey, jam, breads. You want to avoid processed foods or ultra processed foods or packaged foods. Again, just because these foods are going to cost a lot more money. Speaking of that as well, I think if you are going to obviously do your food shop, try and do it in shops such as Aldi. You can use these cheaper supermarkets to get better deals on the same foods. So if you like this video, make sure to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel, and then you can watch this video where I go over my food shopping haul to show you how much I actually spend on my shopping and what a bodybuilder eats within a day.